When you look out at the Earth, especially when you're in space for long periods of time, there's a couple of things that I think about. One is the atmosphere. Looks incredibly flat, fragile. Looks incredibly flat.
Well, I have been really busy. I had one of those brainstorms. And no, it wasn't weather control. Nobody seeded the clouds. I had a brainstorm, all of my itty-bitty lonesome self, because I dared to sit down and have an original thought, something that most people never do in their entire life. It's just incredible. You know, if you can do that, you don't need dope. It's an incredible high, just being able to have your own original thought. Try it sometime. Because I'm not kidding, man. You can, and if you're on dope, you can throw that stuff away once you start to learn how to think for yourself. It's an incredible feeling, I got to tell you. But I was examining once again the Apollo space scam. Oh, yes, I was. I was examining once again the Apollo space scam. And I was trying to figure out how to more adequately and convincingly show the people of the world that indeed it was a scam. It is so obvious to people who have studied lighting, photography, lots of other things. I mean, there's so many things wrong with all of the things that they've shown us and given us to convince us that they went to the moon in the Apollo space program, that it's incredible that anybody still believes it, but a lot of people do.
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
I go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back.
Who knows? So government deception lies. And it's always been there, right in front of our nose. But we never needed that. Intelligent people can look at the pictures that NASA gave us that were supposedly taken on the moon, and you can tell that they're fake. With not much coaxing or knowledge at all if you just use your brain. But it's just incredible that all these years, it's right there in their own videotapes. Whether they took it with a movie camera, or with a still camera, or with videotape, remember that these instruments register whatever they see. And if you know how to manipulate the luminance of the image, you can see things that you were never meant to see, that you weren't supposed to see, that they didn't believe at the time that you could ever see, because at the time they made these videotapes, there was no such thing as a BVP4 plus broadcast video processor. It didn't exist. And so they never dreamed that I could put a videotape, an analog videotape that NASA created and made from their own video footage, into a VCR, put it through the VP4 plus broadcast video processor, manipulate the luminance of the image, and see what they've been hiding all these years in the background. And the astronauts said they could never see stars while they were in space. Well, with some of the footage, I can see the stars. And in some instances, planets. But it's never in footage where it's a recognizable part of a manned spaceflight. It's like stock footage from somewhere, but you don't know where it's from. You don't know who took it. There's never any people in the picture. There's never a recognizable picture out of a window of any spacecraft or anything like that. And so that makes me think that wherever they could, they used footage they had from unmanned space probes that can survive the intense radiation of space, whereas man cannot. And that's the biggest reason why the Apollo space program never happened. Man cannot survive the radiation of space. And what we pretended to send them into space inside of, or get out and walk upon the moon in the full glare of all of the radiation of space, cosmic rays, X-rays, the solar wind from the sun, and all of these other things, man just simply could not exist. Couldn't possibly survive at all. Period. End of subject. That's it. But you see, people don't want to believe that because well, what do you mean? They couldn't survive in all the radiation. We know they went to the moon. How do you know that? Well, I saw it on television. Really? I mean, you also saw Good Times on television. Do you believe that, there's really a family like that? And you saw Sanford and Son. You saw Lucille Ball show on television. You saw, here's a real good one. You saw Star Wars on television, didn't you? Yeah. Well, do you believe that it was? Oh no, that wasn't real. How do you know? Well, because I read a magazine article that it was made in Hollywood. But if you never read the magazine article, would you believe that it was real? Well, that's an interesting question. I don't really know. And it was very convincing. I mean, all of the characters look real to me. But I saw the Apollo space program. I was watching when they landed on the moon. Oh, my goodness gracious. Isn't it incredible how absolutely Jennifer the thing that you watched it on television, it couldn't possibly have not occurred. Even in the face of all of the
and the symbolic language of the Illuminati, is the hidden meaning of the names of the space shuttles. Listen to this very carefully. I assume that you all know the names of the space shuttles. If you don't, they are all included in this sentence. Quote, "A Columbian enterprise to endeavor for the discovery of Atlantis, and all challengers shall be destroyed," end quote. Exploration of the moon, ladies and gentlemen, stopped because it was impossible to continue the hoax without being ultimately discovered. They were pressing their luck as it was. And of course, they ran out of pre-filmed episodes. No man, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very carefully, no man has ever ascended higher than 300 miles, if indeed any have ever ascended that high above the Earth's surface. No man has ever orbited, landed on, or walked upon the moon in any publicly known space program. If man has exceeded the 300-mile limit, and if man has ever truly been to the moon, it has been done in secret and with a far different technology. It was not done in the Apollo space program. And any high school student with a basic physics book can prove it. The tremendous radiation encountered in the Van Allen.
Wow, he's in space. Look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth. If you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball, you just don't. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat.
Belt. A belt surrounding the Earth, ladies and gentlemen, of such intense radiation that before this information became embarrassing, scientists stated unequivocally that for a man to get through the Van Allen belt without frying in this radiation, he would need a 4-foot thick